Hello and welcome, dearest friends of this here internet. My name is Mark, and I am broadcasting live from within the chaos of reality itself. I'm glad I've been able to be a bit more consistent. Inconsistently consistent, I guess. And I'm back again today to do a little bit of art and some video reactions. I'm just going to be checking in on my sound, make sure I don't sound absolutely abhorrent, and then I should be getting started soon. Once again, I am working on this piece. I believe I was working on this one last time as well. I think I'm happy with the sound. I won't be changing any more settings, and I'm ready to go. Today I'm starting off with Spawn Wave, just so I can find out a little bit more on what's going on with the Zelda 40th anniversary and other video game news.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. With all the discussion right now around The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake, as well as the rest of Nintendo's apparent Switch 2 2026 lineup, there's also excitement around the idea of maybe some other Switch 2 systems that could show up. Well, now, one in particular is being mentioned, and it seems to be drawing a lot of excitement online. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Microsoft, as it seems they are setting up and announcing their big plans for summer 2026 with a big showcase and even bringing back a fan favorite event. And people have been noticing that RAM has kind of dropped a bit on the consumer side, and there's all kinds of reasons being pitched, with one in particular that shows a troubling future for one particular RAM manufacturer. We'll go over all of that here today. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button.
Real expensive.
Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below. And we're going to start today with Eidos Montreal, as unfortunate news, more layoffs have been announced. We can see this. It's over on Engadget, saying the latest restructuring is happening at Eidos Montreal, which stated that 124 people are being laid off, and they cite a result of changing project needs and impacts cross-production and support teams. They're also parting ways with its studio head, David Anfossi. And here's the thing with Eidos Montreal. They're currently running support for Fable and Grounded 2. So they're working with Microsoft Studios, Obsidian, and Playground Games. And to me, that's just kind of what they are. I mean, you part ways with your studio head, and at this time you have two support projects. I kind of feel like right now they're just a support studio, and who knows what happens to them after Fable and Grounded 2 are done at that, and their contracts expire. I mean, that could honestly be it for Eidos Montreal, which is a real shame because while they made Marvel's Avengers, they also made something like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. And in fact, that was the last original game, technically, that they worked on themselves. And since then, it was like failed pitches for things like Deus Ex, and then just kind of bouncing around between parent companies. So, unfortunate for Eidos Montreal. They're just kind of a support studio now, and I don't really know if they have much of a future beyond that. Also, we had heard recently that the This Is Nextbox campaign had been canceled or ended within Microsoft, which isn't shocking since apparently wasn't exactly the most popular ad campaign within the company, but
It wasn't even popular amongst fans or the public at all. I don't think anybody liked that ad campaign. It was just ridiculous.
now we at least have a reason as to why, and this is coming back to Asha Sharma, who did effectively end it. And this we can see, this is over on Windows Central, who got the quote from a Microsoft spokesperson saying Asha retired This Is Nextbox because it didn't feel like Xbox. She is personally leading a reset of how we show up as a brand. Really? Okay, so hold on a minute. You're talking about this, you mean the Samsung phone and the Dell laptop in the commercial that said This Is Nextbox above it didn't feel like an Xbox. Go figure. I mean, okay, so we've already joked about this ad campaign itself just being bad, so I don't get too much into that, I guess, beyond it just being bad. But now it does seem like Asha Sharma is at least making some quick changes behind the scenes. There's still many things she has to figure out going into next generation, but I guess with this big showcase coming up in the summer, starting in June, she'll at least have a chance to, I don't know, make some kind of impact there. But I guess we'll see as we get closer to the showcase, which we'll talk about here a little later in the show. Oh, and here's some fun news for retro game fans, as it looks like one game that's been in Japan this whole time with no translation is actually getting a fan translation. That's Xenosaga 1 and 2, and I actually had no idea this was on the DS, but it just being in Japan, never translated to English, kind of makes sense. But like you can see, this is over on the social media account for Vector Translation saying happy 20th anniversary Xenosaga 1 and 2 on the DS. As teased before, we're happy to share with you a beta patch covering the first 3 chapters. They have it up for download there through Google Drive or Mega, and they're also just saying, hey, if you want to help us out, you can contribute to these different projects. And I mean, it's pretty cool. I think from my understanding, I was looking through, some were saying there's 20 chapters total, so they have a ways to go on this one. I was looking at some of the footage. I don't know, it looks kind of cool. I mean, it's the DS, so it's gonna be limited in terms of what graphical style and stuff. Kind of like an isometric almost style of turn-based RPG, but still pretty cool to see something like this happen. Yes, 20 years later, but having these random fan translations show up, not only just being able to play the game, but in my case, bring awareness at all that the game exists is a lot of fun. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake, which is now, of course, spreading around online in the news cycle because after Nate's podcast, people are very excited at the prospect of the best rated game ever made getting a remake that's not going to be necessarily, I guess, kind of the outing for the 3DS. I mean, look, that was more of a, you could even say, remastering for Ocarina of Time. Yes, it was done in like the 3D setup on the 3DS and stuff. That was pretty cool.
If they do make a remake or reboot of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, I think they really need to rebuild it from the ground up, because we already do have the HD version from the DS, which they could easily just port over to Nintendo Switch or any current consoles, and it's basically just the original game with a brand new HD set of, what would you say, textures, right? So I think that they really have to do something different. There's a lot of people who absolutely loved the open world style of Breath of the Wild. There are people who were not fans of that, and there were also people who were fans of that, but did not necessarily like the insanely open-ended, like far more expanded version that was presented to us in Tears of the Kingdom. So perhaps finding something in between, maybe making a Breath of the Wild style Ocarina of Time with the old school mechanics, but still being, open and allowing for much more freedom than the original game.
Also, it being in a handheld configuration was awesome. And then I guess, depending on your view of the art style and some changes they did in terms of the atmosphere and the tone of the game. But in this case, I think we are going to see a more substantial version of Ocarina of Time that will be more of a remake overall with a pretty significant budget behind it. That's, of course, exciting. But you figure maybe Nintendo wants to go a bit further because they would like to sell you more stuff, really. And, well, for some people, that's a good thing because that means maybe they have plans for some special edition hardware, a Pro Controller, or maybe an entire new system. You can see this. This is over on My Nintendo News saying a leaker claims Nintendo is set to release Zelda-themed limited edition Switch 2 to tie in with the release. Exciting stuff. Well, the person they're citing here is Special Nick over on a social media account saying, as a follow-up to the below, from what I've been told, we're getting a Zelda-themed limited edition Switch 2 console. Not sure if the game will be bundled or not. Now he's citing a, looks like a Discord message, I guess, from like 4 months ago. And here he's talking about the Ocarina of Time remake, and I guess the source also mentioned this, this spec.
Yo, what the hell is up with this? I'm using the Apple Pencil on the iPad, right? And it's just not working on Fresco. Nothing. What the frick? There's nothing happening. Why the hell? Okay, well that's weird. I tap on things, and I get a slight indication that perhaps the things that I tap on will activate, but they don't. Oh, come on. Now what? I'll try to figure this out.
Special edition Switch 2 console. And look, Special Nick says a lot of stuff. I get it. He really does. I mean, he's all over the place, sometimes scatterbrained, even with some of the things he throws out there. He hits on some, he misses on others. Is it hard to believe that Nintendo would capitalize on the idea of remaking Ocarina of Time, go a bit further, and try to sell more Switch 2 systems by, yes, doing kind of a paint job or a gold etching around it to make it look, in line with what you'd expect? No. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense, and in fact, I'd be kind of disappointed if they did nothing other than just the game.
With what they've been doing recently, I wouldn't be surprised that they, in fact, would not make a special edition console. We really didn't get that many special editions for the original Switch. The most that we got were different flavors of Joy-Con, and occasionally we did get an entirely new design of Switch, but that was very rare. I believe we only had a Pokemon Switch Lite and Animal Crossing Switch. Perhaps, I don't remember, perhaps there was a Monster Hunter Switch, but I don't remember. And other than that, it was pretty much just Joy-Cons reskinned for different franchises with different colors.
Because this seems like a big deal, of course, to coincide with the anniversary, the 40th anniversary for The Legend of Zelda. Now that we are just about through the Mario anniversary, that, as Nintendo said, the big final thing for that is the movie that is out this week. And I'm excited to see that, just to find out if they really are going to try to, branch out in a bunch of different Nintendo franchises in this Smash Brothers-like universe they built out. But with that in mind, we get to the other side of the movie being out. Yeah, you start to think about The Legend of Zelda and all kinds of stuff they can do to merchandise and, again, sell you more stuff. And something like this would be awesome. The only annoying thing for me is man, I would like to get that system, but I already have a Switch 2. So if nothing else, I guess if it was if they did like Joy-Cons, I'd be interested in those. Or I think really a Pro Controller, because I do think the Switch 2 Pro Controller is very, very good. I would be inclined to pick one of those up, especially if it was just kind of like a gold-themed Pro Controller or gold-themed. Problem with the Joy-Cons is they don't really do a lot so far that we've seen Nintendo. They just kind of change under where the joysticks are and then the rails. You really don't see that often. But if they really went all out and had gold etchings or other designs for, you know, Zelda theme around the different parts of the shell, yeah, I'd be really interested in that, or the dock with the Switch 2. There's a lot of potential here, but it wouldn't shock me if, yes, this one ended up being correct because it lines up well for a company trying to make a bunch of money. Next up.
Except for some reason they're not interested. I don't get it. They keep proving that they just don't want to put that much effort into limited edition consoles as of late, which is sad because we used to have a lot of really awesome Nintendo DS variants. What else did we get variants of? I don't believe they did anything for the Wii or Wii U, like something big. But yeah, a lot of people were expecting Switch unique designs after all of the effort that was put into the DS. But sadly, we just haven't seen that.
Up, let's talk about RAM prices and how they seem.
And also, finally got the frickin' Apple Pen working. The issue was that for some reason the nib was unscrewed. So it was traveling just a little bit too high for the iPad to detect that I was actually touching the screen.
Well, for a company trying to make a bunch of money. Next up, let's talk about RAM prices and how they seem to be declining right now and are going in a way that's in favor of the consumer for once. Now, we still have a ways to go because you can see this headline where they say DDR5 memory prices just took a noticeable dive for the first time in months, and Google's TurboQuant might be behind it. I did a video going over Google with their TurboQuant algorithm for compression when it comes to local language models and how it appears that it's able to be 6 times more efficient. And you can check that video out if you want a deeper explanation and all of that. However, they are noting that memory prices, for example, have fallen to around $380. Now, for 32 gigabytes DDR5, I think we should be deeper explanation and all of that. However, they are noting that memory prices, for example, have fallen to around $380. Now, for 32 gigabytes DDR5, I think we should be like half of that minimum, just about around this time if you line it up for, say, DDR5's life cycle. So we still have a ways to go, but because of this, people are trying to figure out what's happening. Okay, why are RAM prices dropping? And well, because of this, again, people are putting a lot of information out there that I was looking around quite a bit, trying to find other sourcing for this. So like this one, for example, this is from Rogers. It says RAM prices are plummeting after OpenAI failed to fulfill its commitment to purchase 40% of world supply and terminated its 71 billion SK Hynix promise. And this went into like OpenAI signing letters of intent and all this stuff. And I was looking around like, okay, where are like significant sourcing? Because usually when something like this would happen, there'd be sources everywhere. And I'm having a hard time finding like legitimate sourcing on most of this stuff. And so that's the thing right now is you go, okay, well, how much of an impact would this have? Well, to me, because we're seeing this spread around and we're seeing Micron, who's, I mean, getting obliterated in the stock market right now. If you look at their last 5 days, they're down 20%. I think at one point it was like 30% down. It's and Micron is interesting. All right, so you know Micron because they're the company who had Crucial, and they decided, hey guys, to start 2026 right at the end of February, we're gonna cut off our consumer-facing Crucial brand in favor of going all in on data centers and AI. Well, here's the issue with that. It's a very volatile market, as they're realizing, I'm sure, now. But even before, where they benefited quite a bit, they're still up a lot. But you can see how quickly this whole thing swings back and forth. So now here they are, potentially dealing with issues behind the scenes of apparently selling RAM, although I still think, again, there's a lot of gray area here, but I still think that they are selling and having plenty of demand for it. But the question becomes, what happens if some of that does in fact fall off even a little bit? Or are you going to see more and more substantial drops like this in their stock and valuation? Because you have to realize this is all happening after something like this, and this is Micron's revenue almost tripling. Guys, that happened 2 weeks ago that all this went down, so you feel like, oh wow, they should have no problems at all with estimates as demand for memory soars. No, they've been down since then. And look, the stock market does run quite a bit on sentiment, but guys, it also runs on, billions of dollars for some of these companies like a Micron, and that's how quickly it can all shift and change. So yeah, it sounds like OpenAI may be pulling back a little bit here and there, tightening the belt, if you will. It seems like they might be going public at some point. Guys, the AI stuff changes daily. But the good news is, as this is all going down, it does seem that also memory prices are going down. Again, they still have a ways to go, but it's at least trending in the right direction for gamers. So here's hoping it continues that direction, because then we actually might have a path forward when it comes to current consoles getting cheaper, but then also next generation being even somewhat approachable. Next up, let's talk about that Xbox showcase that's now been announced for June, and it's going to be setting up the rest of the year then going forward in 2026, leading up to the 25th anniversary of the Xbox brand. We can see this. This is over on news.xbox.com, saying it's time for another look at the future of gaming. Xbox Games Showcase 2026. They have this nice graphic that they put up here with the Xbox logo on the left, and Gears of War E-Day on the right, because they will indeed be having an entire deep dive direct all about this game. So that is exciting stuff, obviously, to see what they have in store with Gears of War E-Day that is set to come out later this year. Awesome. Okay, so this will be taking place 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. This showcase will include first gameplay looks and huge news on upcoming titles from our first-party studios across Xbox family, as well as our third-party partners around the globe, from the biggest franchise to soon-to-be indie darlings. And then, of course, immediately following this showcase, the Coalition will be there with Gears of War E-Day, talking all about the latest installment for the Gears of War franchise. And they also say, to help celebrate the Xbox 25th anniversary, they're excited to bring back Xbox Fan Fest at Showcase. That's like a big fan event they do with, I guess, all the executives and gamers there for Xbox coming together, and in this case, celebrating the last 25 years. So I guess they'll have more information about all of that with Fan Fest. You can win free tickets and check all of that out there. But this showcase is going to be an interesting one. Now, this should be a big year for Microsoft, because the 25th anniversary. It should also be the final holiday before their next generation kicks off in holiday 2027. But they have a few loose ends to tie up here. Of course, E-Day, and that's like front and center, which is great. We still need to know more about Halo Campaign Evolved, specifically when it's coming out. And then Fable, that being a big one. They talk about the third-party partnerships, and that could be kind of interesting.
Right now, Fable's going to be real rough. It's going to be very difficult to compete with some of the absolute legends of RPGs that have come out in the last couple of years. Right now, Crimson Desert has dropped, and at first people were very skeptical. People were not too pleased with the game, but it seems like as we go through more time with the game, people are absolutely loving it. It's becoming a cult classic. So right now, as it stands, a lot of Western RPGs really aren't doing very well. And honestly, the hopes for Fable are not very high. So who knows exactly what's going to happen with that long term.
I don't know if Toys for Bob will be ready to show what they have, but it's possible. There's a bit of a tease there. I'm kind of wondering about Sega. See, we see Microsoft and Sega together quite a bit. I mean, they just did their partner preview, and Sega was there with Stranger Than Heaven, which was interesting. So, because Atlas, of course, under Sega, it does make you wonder about something like a Persona 6, and that is, of course, going around right now. So that would be a pretty big get, and would be very, very interesting to see show up here. But they're letting us know well in advance. I mean, it's not till June 7th, and, well, it's about to be April, so we got a bit of time to kind of think on this one, but exciting stuff nonetheless to see E-Day getting a big showing right there following the showcase, but then also all the other things that Microsoft should have leading up to their big 25th anniversary for Xbox, that happening November 2026. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a shutdown that has been announced, and that's for Rec Room. We can see this over on their website, where they issued this update saying Rec Room will be closing down on June 1st, 2026 at noon Pacific time. Over the past decade, Rec Room grew into something amazing, reaching over 150 million players and creators along the way. By the way, they were also valued at one point at more than $3 billion. That was like a few years ago, and now here they are shutting down, so interesting stuff with that. But they say despite this popularity, we never quite figured out how to make Rec Room a sustainably profitable business. Our costs always ended up overwhelming the revenue we brought in. We spent a long time trying to find a way to make the numbers work, but with the recent shift in the VR market, along with broader headwinds in gaming, the path to profitability has gotten tough enough that we've made the difficult decision to shut things down. Now, Rec Room really benefited, I will tell you this, from the pandemic where a lot of people were inside, and this was kind of a virtual hangout space, especially with them, of course, really leaning into VR. And this kind of felt like one of the VR killer apps for a while, Rec Room. And now here we are again in 2026, and they're shutting it down in June. So as they mentioned, they spent a lot of money, more money than they were bringing in. And I think this is something that these companies really...
I can't understand how was it that with a project this unimpressive, I guess the word you could use, how is it that with a project like this, their costs were much greater than the revenue they were able to bring in? That's insane. How much were they spending, and why? Was it an issue of mismanagement? Was it an issue of just there being really no business?
really need to consider. Like the live service stuff we talk about, but in general, games that look really successful from the outside doesn't necessarily mean they're making money hand over fist on the inside. It really can at times just be like a break even, or actually we're losing a lot of money because the numbers aren't necessarily working out. Like, I think Roblox is an example of a game that you figure would be making crazy amounts of money, but really they're breaking even or even just losing money consistently. But with something like Rec Room, it does also make me wonder more and more about just the state of VR, because I don't see any discussion really about VR, not nearly as much as there was before. And a lot of the companies like Meta, for example, that was all about subsidizing and lifting up VR, is like dropping it and looking over at AI now. It's like that meme where the guy is like turning and looking at the other girl. It's like, oh yeah, that's AI, and then we have VR back there somewhere. So I mean, at this time with virtual reality, it kind of feels like we've kind of passed it by at this point. Let me know if you're really big into the VR scene and how the mood is there currently, because right now seeing something like this with Rec Room that was looked at as one of the big time interesting VR experiences shutting down, I can't imagine the mood's great right now for VR.
Is anyone actually really that into VR? It's crazy if someone actually is. The tech just isn't fully there. It's a nice, interesting concept. A lot of the tech is like great to have, a nice little fun time with. But other than that, like, what do you actually have? There's really nothing of substance there. I feel like VR won't really fully take off until we can get the tech essentially down to the size of normal wearing glasses, and then the price needs to be like, overall as a package, I feel like the price needs to be within the range of like a game console.
VR. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. Or ask, do you buy special edition consoles when they release, even if you already have that system? Okay, well, 82% say no, I don't buy special edition consoles if I already have one. But Liz, 10% say yes, I buy special edition consoles to collect them. And look, if you've been buying them for a while like that, you've made out pretty well at this point. There are many, especially if you're buying them during the PS2 era. There's a GameCube era, there are some that are worth quite a bit now. 8% though say yes, but I trade in or sell my old system. I get that. So I gotta say that Zelda one, the Switch 2, it's kind of showing up earlier in the Switch 2's life then, right? I mean, look, I think Nintendo will have sold, I mean, easily you could say 30 million, I think, Switch 2 systems by then. Man, that Ocarina of Time remake, Switch 2 hits, it's gonna hit pretty hard, I think, for obviously Zelda fans. That's one that I think some will go out and just buy an extra one and maybe actually collect for it, because we've seen Zelda edition systems come out in the past and they tend to do pretty well in terms of their market value over time, like actually just being worth more. The 3DS I know is one, but it's the 3DS that tends to do really, really well just being a 3DS. Even the Wii U though, there's like the Zelda Wii U one, if you have that in the box in pristine condition, you know, like you bought it for collecting purposes, it's worth quite a bit. So I get it when that shows up that people are probably going to blitz any online stores or Targets or Walmarts or whatever looking for this edition. I'm just curious about the way that Nintendo presents it with the etchings or anything else they have in store, and if they have anything they want to bundle in or anything else. So very, very interesting stuff. But yes, I do believe there's going to be a Zelda special edition. I'm just curious to see how far they take it with the Switch 2 console. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Zeph, who says, Game Pass is too expensive for adults with obligations. It takes us a couple months or more to finish a game due to life and jobs. By that time, you could have bought the game you were playing outright. Yeah, so that's the other issue with Game Pass. And if you look at it face value, shouldn't be an issue because it's a lot of value. It's like, hey, you sign up, 30 bucks a month. But look at the hundreds of games you get. Some of them are day one releases, maybe even that month. Maybe you signed up for Gears E-Day. You're like, oh, well, I'll just do Game Pass, $30, and I'll play Gears that way. And then I'll get all these other games. But then you spend the next month or so just playing through Gears, and then you do some of the multiplayer. We'll say there's multiple. You do the multiplayer, and then you don't really touch any of the other games. It's like, man, how much value did you really get out of that when you could have just bought Gears E-Day and kept it after you canceled your Game Pass subscription? That's just something that people think of after the fact, not before they sign up, but it is a fair point. It's just, there's a lot of quantity there that most people can't necessarily get to. The Netflix argument, though, I don't think holds up either because, let's face it, you just put Netflix on in the background while you're doing something else and still kind of take in the background noise of the episodes or documentaries or whatever you're watching, so there's still added value for just having a lot of stuff to watch. With gaming, you got to be fully engaged in playing that game to get the entire experience, and as you mentioned, obligations, work, everything else, sometimes it's difficult to make that kind of time for those many games. And ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, I almost signed up for Game Pass when it originally released, but then I realized that I don't have an Xbox and I don't have a PC. So yeah, that went away pretty fast. And when I got my Steam Deck, I really heavily considered going into Game Pass, just so that I could try the various games that were on there, because most everything that I do on a budget. I'm not like that well off, so the idea of being able to try various games for a low budget was really enticing. The issue was that Game Pass on Steam Deck seemed a bit tricky, and the prices for games on Steam, the sales were pretty crazy, so that immediately just kind of put out all interest for Game Pass pretty quickly.
gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you did want to hear more about the Turbo Quant from Google and how that could actually end up making our game consoles cheaper in the not too distant future. I did a video looking into that possibility, and I'll leave it right below. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
That was Spawnwave. He is absolutely amazing. He has daily videos on news, and it's all gaming and entertainment. Like I've said before, I watch them on a daily, so I'm gonna leave this video a like. Make sure that if you are one out of one person viewing this video, which is more likely me, you go and subscribe. Next video is by the background NPC. The background NPC, I believe, I originally discovered through Asmongold, and she makes some really good videos. So today we're going to be listening in on something to do with Crimson Desert, which everyone's talking about right now. Like I said, originally the reception was a bit mixed, a little bit confused. People didn't know what to think about the game because it was a bit confusing, frustrating. But now people are loving it.
I have spent the last 2 weeks experiencing a crazy amount of whiplash. I went from not paying attention to negative journalist reviews for Crimson Desert to getting a little concerned when initial player reviews started sounding eerily similar, to watching the Pearl Abyss stock drop 30%, to then finally buying the game myself and having an absolute blast with it. But on the...
Yeah, that seems to be the overall sentiment. People told me it was bad. I played it. It's great.
The exact same day Crimson Desert launched, Fortnite dropped a new season, and then a week later, Epic fired 1,000 people. Now, I have witnessed 2 stories about ambition in gaming this week, both with very different outcomes, and I think the difference comes down to 2 big things that we always talk about. Who are you actually building your game for? And when those people show up and tell you what they think, are you even listening? Before we get into all of that, let's catch up on a few things. Sony just announced that the PS5 is going up by another $100, meaning the PS5 Pro is now $900.
Bro. That is not good. Jeez. At this point, who's gonna be able to afford that?
Their second price hike in less than a year, but don't worry, Sony is merciful to us paupers. If you cannot justify dropping that amount of money on a console, you can always just rent a PlayStation via a monthly subscription service if you live in the UK. It is still so early in the...
Alright, jokes aside, I think that is genuinely a good, what would you say, a good proposition, to have video game consoles that you can rent, for those who don't have the money to buy a game console just outright. The issue is how many people would actually take advantage of that, right? Like, how popular would that actually become? And it's hard to say.
Year, and already there have been so many layoffs. Crystal Dynamics just had their 4th round in 12 months. Battlefield Studios cut staff after their big launch last year. Ubisoft gutted Red Storm Entertainment. Riot let 80 people go, and Sony shut down Bluepoint, which I personally will never forgive them for, because the Shadow of the Colossus remake was a masterpiece. And speaking of layoffs, let's go ahead and talk about the big one. We found out days ago that Epic Games was letting go of 1,000 people after already letting go of 16% of their workforce back in 2023. Their statement said Fortnite engagement has been declining since last year and that they are spending significantly more than they're making. And of course, even with a decline in players, Fortnite is obviously still one of the biggest games ever made and played, but Epic's response to all of this has been very interesting. Just earlier this month, they raised V-Bucks prices and told players that they needed to help pay the bills. Yes, that means you, Broccoli Top, put down the Celsius and go help Epic pay their rent. And then a week later, they cut 1,000 people. Now, the gaming industry, and sadly, all of us, are unfortunately no stranger to tone-deaf statements from executives. And with Tim Sweeney already on the leaderboard for this, he vied once again for the top spot as he tried to smooth things over by making a statement on X saying, I don't think about it as people losing their jobs. Now employers will see a stream of resumes of once-in-a-lifetime quality folks.
How are you this retarded? How are you this bad at PR? What the hell is this? That is bad. That is laughably bad.
I think
That's almost as bad as freaking champagne socialists going to Cuba to support the regime, and throwing a big concert in order to liberate the people from the oppressive U.S. intervention. Like, how are people this obtuse?
that easily bumps Ubisoft's get used to not owning your own games on the leaderboard. I don't know though, Tim. Could it be that instead of your overflowing charity for the market, Epic may be overhired, put way too much focus on everything other than core Fortnite, like internal HR initiatives, massive content partnerships, spending $1 billion fighting Apple, and publicly backing lawsuits with Valve. And then your first instinct is to get on social media and act like you just did everyone a huge favor. Meanwhile, Gabe Newell continues to just live out his meme of do nothing and win. With this layoff though, they are
He literally is a champion of do nothing and win. But I want them to do something because we really need that Steam machine. And we need the Steam Deck too, please.
are also shutting down 3 different Fortnite modes, and for what it's worth, I actually was kind of surprised because their statement that they put out was fairly honest. They said they failed to build something awesome enough to attract and retain a large player base. And with all of this, I just kept wondering, how did Fortnite get here? There was a time when it seemed like everyone and their mother was playing this game, and it caused huge players in the industry to chase the live service model for years because of its massive success. Studios have been gutted, games have been redesigned, entire companies have pivoted to chase what Fortnite originally built, and now even Fortnite themselves is having a difficult time. The thing that everyone was trying to emulate is now struggling itself, and it was not for lack of ambition.
And that is a hilarious joke. That is insanely funny. The fact that Fortnite was the one everyone was chasing after, everyone was trying to be, and now Fortnite is failing. Everyone was failing in order to just keep up with Fortnite, and now Fortnite on his own is failing to meet Fortnite's own expectations.
Epic had plenty of ambition. They have just been pointing it literally everywhere else except at the people that play their core game. So Fortnite shows us one side of the coin, but what does it look like when all of that ambition actually has a target? Well, that brings us to Crimson Desert. Originally, Crimson Desert started out as an MMO prequel to Black Desert Online, and somewhere during the 7+ years of development, Perlibis scrapped pretty much their entire direction for the game. No live service, no multiplayer, although that might be coming now to be determined. Just one massive single-player game with all of their ambitious ideas pointed at one thing, a super rich and enjoyable single-player experience. And
On one hand, I really hope that they don't add multiplayer to the game, because that task seems absolutely daunting. And we've seen many cases in which video game developers bite off way more than they can chew, and it really screws them over. So I hope that they don't try to do more than they absolutely need to. They've already bitten off way more than they can chew with just developing Crimson Desert, because of the fact that it is such an absolutely content saturated game. But if they can pull it off, and if it isn't that difficult, I mean, the developers are literally the developers literally have experience with creating online games, right? So if the infrastructure is there, and they've already put in the work previously, and they can just easily flip a switch and add some multiplayer features, that would be great. but I really don't want them to overdo this entire project, because that could start a spiral for them, and we need more games like this.
And you can feel it when you play. Now, I didn't get to start playing until the middle of launch weekend, and like I said at the start, by the time I sat down, I'd already seen a lot of the discourse. Mixed reviews, controls complaints, people saying that it was too hard or too clunky, and outside of like the Paul Tassies at Forbes, I felt the critic reviews were being weirdly nitpicky. Even at this point, after the massive quality of life patches, some journalists just seem committed to hating this game. After getting some time in myself and sitting at around 30 hours now, were some of the initial complaints valid? A little bit, yeah. There is a real learning curve. The controls are not always the smoothest, although I do think that argument has been blown out of proportion just a little bit. But I've noticed that Cliff doesn't always grab a ledge when he should. I had a whole lantern quest that fought me for 20 minutes straight because I did not realize that my weapon had to be sheathed in order to pull it out properly. And I am not a puzzle girl, all right? So some of the harder ones have made me feel pretty dumb, and I have accepted my skill issue. But even with all of that, I am still having a blast. If you only listened to the discourse at launch, you would genuinely think that this was some type of cyberpunk all over again, like this game was utterly unplayable, and that was just not the case. Now, this is not a game for everyone, but for people who do enjoy this type of thing, it is incredibly fun. Combat, climbing, puzzles, taming animals, wrestling, crafting, companions, a genuinely massive open world full of fun things to do, and everything is all working together to make the game as fun as possible. And that right there is the difference. While Epic was scattering Fortnite across numerous different games and directions, Pearl Abyss was pouring everything into making one specific thing as good as it could possibly be. And you can tell because it pops up in all of the little stuff. The background NPCs in this game have genuinely made me laugh out loud. From cussing at me and calling me the C word when I accidentally bumped them over to an old woman randomly hitting on me in the city streets.
Nice.
The music of the game, I used to Irish dance as a kid, and that one merchant theme makes me yearn for the jig. That stuff is in there because somebody at Pearl Abyss thought it was funny or cool or beautiful and just put it in, because that is what happens when you know your audience and you want to make something that they will love. And at $70, it is understandable people are going to be less patient with any type of launch jank. So even if I personally was not as bothered by some of it, it makes sense that Crimson Desert's initial quirks pushed away certain people. But for the people who decided to stick with it, this is a game built for them, and Pearl Abyss proved that almost immediately. Within 4 days of launch, Pearl Abyss had their first big patch live, with tutorial improvements, keyboard and mouse changes, camp storage, boss nerfs, health item buffs, and then 10 days later after launch, a huge patch. 5 new mounts, faster load times, a sprint toggle, reduced gliding stamina, thank you, instant crafting, bulk storage. They even added a prompt for using keys to unlock doors. Thank you. Instant load times, a sprint toggle, reduced gliding stamina. Thank you. Instant crafting, bulk storage. They even.
I wonder why she said thank you about reduced glide stamina. Wouldn't that be worse because you can glide less? I wonder exactly what that balancing was about.
Even added a prompt for using keys to unlock doors, which was something I personally was very excited about. 2 major patches in 10 days. They are moving wickedly fast, and yes, it would have been nice if all of this was just there at launch, and I am glad that people have spoken up, but honestly, it feels really good to be heard, you know? Like, I genuinely feel like I am a paying customer again. I bought a game, told them what was frustrating, and they fixed it. In days, not months, not years, and that is sadly not something that should feel like an anomaly, but after years of, notably Western AAA, studios treating player feedback like an Avengers level threat instead of just useful and helpful information, it kind of is. That used to be the norm. That used to just be how this worked. Either the game released polished to a T, or the developers were ready and waiting to accept and act on the players' responses. And the fact that this feels so rare now says way more about the industry than it does about Pearl Abyss. We paid for this game, we showed up, and Pearl Abyss is treating us like that actually means something and is important. Like we are people who bought their game and deserve to have a good experience. We're not a problem to manage or a community to pacify or just a revenue stream to optimize, just their customers. who they want to make happy. And the reason that they could move that fast is actually the whole point. They were laser focused on their game and their audience, so when players showed up with feedback, there was nothing else competing for that attention. And instead of getting defensive about it, blaming their audience, lashing out over the critical reviews, they just listened. They went down the list of complaints and started fixing things and actually thanked people for the feedback instead of getting weird about it. Most studios would have put out some type of big roadmap and asked everyone to just be patient. Pluribus just did the thing. So where does this leave them? 3 million copies sold in 5 days, Steam reviews going from mixed rating on launch night to very positive, and Sunday morning, a week and a half after launch, Crimson Desert just hit 276,000 concurrent players on Steam.
Nice.
A new all-time peak. Most single-player games start to lose their concurrent players in the first week. Crimson Desert is gaining them. When looking at both
That's
studios,
crazy.
Epic and Pluribus, it is clear that both of
Let me actually take a look at that real quick. So I'm gonna go over on SteamDB, and we are going to search for, there it is, Crimson Desert. So do we have a chart? Yes, we do have a chart. Damn, that's crazy. Okay. So this is within 48 hours. Let's go 1 week. Oh, that is the 1 week. Damn. Initially, the first peak was at 197,000. Then that was around the 25th of March. Well, 24th. 24th, it peaked at 197,000. Then by the 29th, 5 days later, literally a week later, 275,000. Damn. And now the latest peak was at 200,000 this Monday the 30th. Interesting. That's pretty crazy. Wait, that's not even the whole chart. Bro, why do you hide this from me? Wait, when did it release? So the release date is the 19th. Okay, that makes sense. I wonder why they freaking didn't show me the other half of the chart. So actually the initial peak was 239,000, and the all-time high was about 276,000. Damn. That's interesting because you get this kind of U-shape where player base goes down slowly, and then it sort of starts going into, you know, the normal rhythm that games go into, and then all of a sudden it starts shooting back up, and then now we're going back down again. That's pretty crazy. I wonder if it's going to see another wave of interest, or if from now on it will just slowly taper off like we see with every other game.
of them have ambition. But everything Pluribus has done is to make their game more enjoyable for the people playing it, and everything Epic has been doing for the past few years or more is to... I'm honestly not even sure. But the bottom line is that Pluribus is focused on and all kinds of weird filled their game with passion, love, and so much charm, and all kinds of weird, funny details that are only in there because somebody at the studio cared and thought it would make for a more fun and enjoyable experience. Not increase their brand presence or optimize revenue streams. That's the huge difference. And what is funny is that it's not like Crimson Desert even launched broken or technically unfinished. We have seen what actual broken launches and promises broken look like. No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy XIV, Cyberpunk, and those studios earned their second chances because they listened to their players. Pluribus didn't launch in a broken state. They didn't lie about what the game included. In my opinion, it was a good game that launched with some rough edges, and instead of shaking their fist at players and accepting critics' reviews, they just started making improvements because their players told them what they wanted and they were smart enough to actually listen. Now, I've said this before, but do you like the game you're making? And do you like who you're making it for? Because when you like your audience, they are not your enemy. And listening to them isn't a chore. The right thing to do usually is pretty obvious. Ambition is cheap. Any studio can have ambition, but ambition only means something when you aim it at the correct target, the people who will actually show up for you. Pearl Abyss had a stupid amount of ambition and a very clear picture of exactly who it was all for, quirks and all, and that's why 3 million people bought it, and that's why the reviews flipped, and that's why a 30% stock crash turned into recovery in under 2 weeks. And if you're
Nice.
Epic, if you are the company that built Fortnite, a game that genuinely changed the industry, and you can't even remember who you built it for, that is not a layoffs or a V-Bucks problem, it is a who is this even for anymore problem, and sadly, your audience figured that out long before you did. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I would love to know your thoughts on everything. Are you playing Crimson Desert? If so, what do you think? And Pearl Abyss, if you are somehow listening, well, apparently you might be, because you've literally just added the key prompt I was about to ask you for. Please allow me to skip NPC dialogue and cutscenes, and my life is yours. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
So yeah, definitely check out the background NPC. She has a lot of great videos. We're going to open up her channel here and take a look at what she's recently uploaded. Surprise, surprise, I have been watching semi-consistently. I actually did watch this one. Didn't I? So she talks a lot about modern games and the strange hypocrisies that we find when we listen to video game
explicit content by
devs
someone.
and
For the
video
past
games media versus the actual fan bases.
Weeks, pretty much every screen that I own has been taken over by one person. The man, the myth, the Giga Chad himself, Leon S. Kennedy. Still writing those pieces, are now sharing pants removal journalism about Leon S. Kennedy. They are telling developers that attractive female characters are harmful to the culture with one hand and gooning to Leon S. Kennedy with the other. I've seen people make jokes about naked Leon mods and it is all ha 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 jokes and celebration and yes, please give us more. But somebody makes a body mod for Grace that changes her proportions and suddenly it's disgusting.
I don't understand that. Okay, maybe I'll watch this one. Maybe I'll just I don't remember if I finished this video or not. It's seeming like I didn't. We have time. We'll watch it. That is the most frustrating thing to me. The fact that one side of the aisle says things in jest, right? And it's treated as a sort of war crime. The other side of the aisle makes the exact same joke in nearly the exact same manner, and oh yeah, no, it's fine. It's no one meant anything by it. Why would it be a problem? Like really, guys? And then if someone is interested in female characters, it's seen as problematic because it's objectification. It's the reduction of a character down to, you know, just the most unpleasant parts. And then someone does that for a male character and it's just like, no, that's great, that's empowering, that's liberating for women because they can actually express themselves honestly. And it's just like, what are we talking about? Either everyone can act and react the same or no one can. Like, why would it be different? Why should it be different?
For the past 2 weeks, pretty much every screen that I own has been taken over by one person. The man, the myth, the Giga Chad himself, Leon S. Kennedy. In case you missed it, somehow Resident Evil Requiem recently came out, and it is pretty great. Capcom absolutely cooked. They sold 5 million copies in 5 days, and they've confirmed that DLC is on the way.
And Leon is one of the reasons why it sold so well. Not just because, he's in the game, but also his design was pretty much perfect. Everyone can agree with that. Males, females, the gays, the straights, everyone knows that Leon is pretty much peak character design in this game.
I'm about to finish my 5th playthrough. Yes, my 5th, using almost exclusively the RPG as Leon because I just unlocked unlimited ammo for it. And even though I have a ton of thoughts about the game itself, this video isn't really about RE9. It is about the massive double standard of some of the people celebrating Leon the hardest right now. The thirst articles, the journalists who need to be hosed down like overheated zoo animals, the same people who have spent the last decade lecturing everybody else about this exact thing, just in reverse. Once again, rules for thee, but not for he. Now, before we get into the details, I do need you to understand the scale of what has actually been happening. We are talking countless fan edits with millions of views, Leon fan cams, the art, so much art, cosplays, gym motivation posts, men saying Leon has inspired them to get in shape, which is really cool actually. Shirtless Leon mods, Leon dad and mustache mods, all well and all good. But then the professionals started to jump in, and I might have started getting a little better. Kotaku published a piece called Leon Scott Kennedy, I'm on prep. I'm still not sure how that one was not only approved, but actually published.
What the fuck kind of... Oh my gosh. What kind of, This is an article. This is like a published article. What kind of Tumblr post is this?
Where the writer describes deliberately keeping Leon on low health just to hear his pained grunts, and how his own pants are, at one point, gone. This is a professional journalist, mind you. And
Wait,
then
his own pants? Kenneth Shepard. Bro, how did I not notice that?
And even Nintendo, the company that treats a single exposed polygon like it's a federal crime, posted on X that Leon is absolutely jacked with a blush face emoji. Capcom posted a thirst edit of him set to Usher's Hey Daddy, Daddy's Home on the official account with the check mark and everything.
That's funny.
I've pretty much seen it all at this point. I think brands posting, journalists posting, everyone posting the highest levels of sexy thirst for Leon. Even his own voice actor had some things to say, but I will touch on that in just a bit. Now, to be clear, this is nothing against Leon at all, or against the celebration of attractive characters. You guys know I am all for attractive characters, and I love Leon. I think he is a legitimately great character, and it is so refreshing to see such a strong male lead finally get celebrated again. And with the way Capcom was moving up to this game's launch, all of this was to be expected. I also expected cosplayers would have a heyday when I came across this Easter egg of Rebecca Chambers stashed away in the library by Albert Wesker, which somebody responded on a parody Wesker account with a formal statement that genuinely made me laugh out loud. But I can honestly say I was not expecting Victor Gideon thirst content. Yes, I had to put my phone down after that and went and stood in my yard for a few minutes. But while I was outside getting some air, I got to thinking, imagine if a female character got this treatment at this scale.
No.
Imagine Kotaku published Jill Valentine, I'll wear a condom.
Nope.
Imagine PlayStation posted a thirst edit of Lara Croft set to Justin Timberlake's sexy back, or Nintendo highlighting Bayonetta's curves with a wink face emoji. You know, I actually can't imagine it because you and I both know exactly what would happen. We know because we have watched it happen for at least a decade. There was this wave of critics and activists who looked at the gaming audience, an industry that was largely built by and for men, and basically said, the characters you like are a problem. The women you find attractive? That's immature, regressive, and a moral failing. And this, unfortunately, was not just one person yelling into the void. This was all over gaming media. Full coverage, speaking invitations, developer consultations, and it got so loud that not only did studios start listening, they started hiring these people and it has become the norm. Which, for example, is how we see something like the devs of 1348X Photo so casually respond to this tweet about their characters saying, "Why would you expect women to necessarily be attractive?" Happy launch day. Okay.
That is the dumbest question ever. Why would anyone expect anything to be interesting in any way? Like, what are we talking about? Your job is to make a compelling piece of media with compelling characters, compelling plots. No, why would it be interesting to you? Like, what?
Guys, by the way. So for the better part of a decade, we have watched it happen. A very loud, coordinated, industry-level push to change female characters in games. They were too revealing, they pushed unrealistic beauty standards, were harmful to the culture. Developer guides started telling studios what female characters should and shouldn't look like. Official company statements were issued. Whole victory poses got pulled because someone wrote a forum post looking at you, 2016 Tracer. Characters that had looked a certain way for decades got softened in their remakes, and the press either applauded or scolded you for noticing. Outfits got covered up, proportions got adjusted. If a new female character showed up looking a little bit too good, she was not celebrated, she was villainized, and a controversy or problem to be solved. These people treated every female character like she was going through airport security. Ma'am, that's a little bit too much cleavage. I'm gonna need you to step aside. Meanwhile, we have seen celebrations of characters like Geralt, Arthur Morgan, Astarion, and most recently, Leon. Thirst traps, shirtless mods, people calling for nudity mods, which is not needed for Astarion, but nobody wrote a developer guide about that. Nobody called it harmful or was concerned about what it said about the industry. It's almost like the rules only ever applied to one set of characters. Super weird. What's even funnier is after years
They only apply to... Or sorry, the rules are made only for those who complain the loudest.
of this, a study actually came out like 2 years ago that said female gamers preferred playing as the hotter female characters anyway, not the toned down ones. And now those same outlets, those same voices, sometimes the same human beings, who spent years telling developers and gamers what women should and shouldn't look like in games, and in some cases are still writing those pieces, are now sharing pants removal journalism about Leon S. Kennedy. They are telling developers that attractive female characters are harmful to the culture with one hand and gooning to Leon S. Kennedy with the other. I've seen people make jokes about naked Leon mods and it is all ha 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 jokes and celebration and yes, please give us more. But somebody makes a body mod for Grace that changes her proportions and suddenly it's disgusting. It's incredibly disrespectful because how dare you, chuds? My goon is culture. Your goon is jail time. And if you needed more proof of this double standard in real time, look no further than the upcoming Lara Croft series. In a recent interview, Sophie Turner made it very clear that her Lara Croft, the same beloved character who does unnecessary acrobatics and fights dinosaurs with pistols, is actually super serious this time, guys. And it's not about her looks at all. Because as we all know, of course, serious women can't be hot. Smart girls can't be attractive. Not around here. Like, this is the Lara Croft we are talking about. Someone who is actually intentionally designed to be a bombshell, and the actress playing her felt she needed to share a preemptive disclaimer about her character's appearance before nary a single episode has aired. It's like the mainstream reflex to downplay female characters' beauty has just been ingrained so deep at this point that it is basically automatic now, even for one of gaming's most iconic female characters. Meanwhile, Leon's voice actor is out here in interviews calling Leon a sex icon and laughing about it, completely at ease, reading the thirst tweets.
Pack Mule Ultimate Inventory System, a remedy for cramped character sheets and the chaos they create. Here, every single...
No. And actually, yeah, the fact that the voice actor is so chill about it, he plays into all of the insanity and has fun with it, is a great breath of fresh air. All it does is sort of encourage the fan base to continue being fans.
Not one journalist has followed up with a concern. Again, just think about if this were reversed. what would be the response if Jennifer English talked about how Shadowheart was suddenly a sex icon and cheered on all the male gooning? I love you, Jennifer, by the way. But Sophie Turner makes sure to give a disclaimer that nobody asked for or even wanted, while Nick Apostolides calls his character a sex icon and gets celebrated for embracing it. Just like Leon, Lara Croft has built a 30-year legacy on being smart, dangerous, and intentionally beautiful all at the same time. She does not owe anyone a disclaimer for that, and neither do so many of our other beautiful female characters. Neither did Ada Wong, neither did Jill Valentine, neither did Bayonetta, who, by the way, was designed by a woman and beloved by many women who were, at one point, told they were too damaged to know what was actually good for them. But the disclaimers and criticisms only ever travel in one direction, and we all know why. Now, this actually brings me to the other half of RE9, Grace. Now, I want to be super clear, okay? I genuinely love Grace. I think Angela's performance is incredible, the writing is beautiful, and she is probably one of my favorite additions to the RE universe. But even with all of that, as someone who tries to carefully pick my battles, I've still got to call out Capcom's elephant in the room with this one. Grace is a pretty feminine character. She is so layered and engaging, and I honestly enjoyed every second of her being on my screen. And if she existed in a vacuum, I probably would leave this one alone. But she doesn't exist in a vacuum. She exists in the same game as Leon that got every possible detail obsessed over. And she exists in a franchise with Jill, Claire, Ada, and even Mommy Domitrescu. And when you put her next to all of that, it is just painfully obvious how Capcom failed her. Not because she is a bad character, not because of her story or how she complements Leon perfectly, but because as the player, I can see so easily exactly how much more she could have been. Her default character design it's just plain bad. It is safe, it's bland, and I made the joke several times when playing as her in third person that it's almost like I was staring at a blank piece of paper. She has no shape, no color, it's basically just a gray box. Her design makes me think that someone was already worrying about how the real horror of Requiem is actually the male gaze article.
It's very hard to argue against that. It's very hard. It is very likely that they tried to play it as safe as possible, and because of that, they made her design very bland. But I actually like the bland design because of the fact that Grace is a bit of a, like, what would you say? She's the kind of character who craves safety. So I felt like the design was, at least the design direction and the overall concept was reasonable and justified. But yeah, it is very bland. They could have done more with it. So it is
that
sad.
It was done by a committee that was scared of how the other committee would approve it. You know, you might have goofed when the cosplay community is kind of all independently making the same adjustments to the standard costume. Crop tops, tank tops, skinny jeans, adding layers, colors, and on and on and on. Cosplayers will actually always be the final judge. In my current playthrough, I actually added a crop top mod to Grace, and I have to say, it has made it even more fun to play. Now, I've got more to say about Grace, but I think I'm gonna save that for a future video, talking about all of our wonderful female characters. I think we're on part like 4 now, or 5, who knows. But Leon's design shows you what Capcom looks like when they are not afraid. Grace's shows you what happens when they are. Or at least when they choose not to try whatsoever. And I think that's why their response to Leon has been this big. Not just thirst, although obviously, yes, we've talked about that, but also relief. It is like guys and girls all across the internet have let out a huge sigh of relief, seeing that they just might start getting back their heroes. An entire generation of people grew up on these games, and Leon works so well as our male lead because he is him. He is the guy who walks into the worst situation imaginable and handles it. He's smart, capable, brave, a little bit corny in exactly the right way. Men want to be him, women want to be with him. He is the power fantasy and the rescue fantasy all at the same time, and there is nothing wrong with either of those things. There never was, and that is what a great character does when you just let them be great. No committee, no disclaimers, no apologies, just Here he is, and look how everyone has responded. Look how hungry everyone was for it. Leon doesn't need to be any less. He is basically just a perfect character. Now we need the rest of our characters to be elevated to his level. If you made it to the end of this one, thank you so much. I know I was gone for a couple of weeks. Honestly, most of my spare time has been going to revisiting the Resident Evil remakes, but are you playing Requiem? Did you beat it? What are your thoughts? Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
Is that a reference to the Leon thirst trap that Capcom posted? Is that what that song is? I don't know it, so it's kind of going over my head.
Hello.
And this is a 28-minute video about just the water in Crimson Desert. Interesting. And it's from a Red Dead Redemption 2 artist. That is very interesting. So this is Game World Art. Apparently, it seems... is this the same individual? Let's take a look. It seems like it might be... Yeah, this isn't a re-upload or anything. This is... This is Game World Art, who claims to be a Red Dead Redemption 2 artist. And he... Pretty much a majority of his content is just breaking down the visuals in other games. That is pretty cool. So I'm going to be watching this video. 28 minutes long. I'm going to leave a like because I love content like this. Where we talk about the tech and the innovations in video game design. So yeah.
My name's David, I'm an environment artist, and today we're in Crimson Desert, and specifically today we're going to have a look at this river, this rather nice looking river here. And for reference, let me show you where we are in the world. We are here.
Yeah.
And pretty much still in the starting area of this ridiculously big looking map.
Damn.
It's just blowing my mind how big this world is. It's
that is
really
insane.
exciting. So if you want to check it out yourself, it's all the way down there. Here's the main town. Hernand Castle with its big mysterious energy. So I thought we'd start here. And we're at a rather nice time of day. The very flattering sort of morning sunshine. So be warned.
That helmet is really interesting. I wonder if you can actually bring down the visor. Is that the right term? Visor? Face guard? Because it is a shame that he's not, using it to the full extent of its, protective capabilities.
The very flattering sort of morning sunshine. So be warned. This is an in-depth look at this river. We're not talking about gameplay, story, or anything else really. We're having a good old look at the water tech. So
Nice.
This is going to be quite focused. So you have been warned. And
Right off the bat, I don't like the waterfalls. The texture on those waterfalls is not compelling to me. It does not look great.
I'm speaking on...
But that's just at this distance. What are we rendering this video at? We've got it at 1080p. Oh yeah, that's... I'm not happy with those
This-
waterfall textures.
as an artist who worked on the rivers of Red Dead Redemption 2. So I like to feel that in many ways I know what I'm talking about. I'm not a graphics programmer. I'm not even a tech artist. I'm just an environment artist. And so I approach everything from that basis. What I say is what I'm inferring from what I can see and analyze, and from the scant information that Pearl Abyss have given us. And they've hinted at stuff about this water, but we've not really had much of a kind of in-depth look at all. So it's all inference and analysis here. So, before we get into the nitty gritty of the water, I want to offer my thanks to channel members, as usual. Greatly appreciated. Thanks very much. There you all are on the screen there. Lovely bunch. And we have a private Discord server for channel members, which is a nice place to hang out. I'm there most weekdays, so if considering joining, then feel free, pop in, and we'll have a little chat. So, let's get on with it, shall we? I've been dying to look at these rivers for quite a while, and indeed this was one of the first things I checked out when I started the game. I was like, let me look at some water. What's this water like? Because Pearl Abyss have been kind of making a thing of this live simulation that they're running. It's very uncommon for games to be running water simulations. Your usual method is hand-authored flow maps. And flow maps, if you don't know, are basically vector maps where a colour map is used to denote two-dimensional directions, a bit like a compass.
I didn't know that they were using like just a full-on simulation. That is interesting.
You know, north, south, east, west, and all the colour blends in between those denote all the myriad directions that the water flows might go. So they're almost always pre-baked. Then if there's any water interactions, that will be down to physics and interaction with the water surface, VFX, things like that. Pearl Abyss have been telling us that this is a live simulation. So we'll get into that in a little while, but for now, let's just have a look at the river, shall we? I'll stop nattering about it. Let's just have a good old look. So, I mean, every bit of the rivers I see are just phenomenal. They're really good. And, you know, all modesty aside, I don't think any games have bettered RDR2's rivers in terms of just their visual fidelity. You know, for the limitations of the tech at the time, yeah, they're not perfect. Nothing's perfect, is it? But we put an awful lot of thought into the river construction and the water surface. And it's a combination of those two things. You know, it's the riverbed, the river edges, and the water surface that make your river. They make or break.
I'm not happy with the river edges on this. They just kind of get lost.
Break it, don't they? So looking at this is just really like hitting home in how the water is sitting in its bed. You know, I've been saying for well over a year now on my channel, you know, like nearly all game developers don't really understand water surface, in that water is always trying to get to a level state. You know, it's trying to rest at a flat level. And so many games, I could show you so many. In fact, I've done videos on this in the past. So many games in this situation would have what I call a slopey ribbon. And it would just be a relatively flat ribbon that is going down a very, you know, relatively steep angle, a very steep angle for water surfaces in the real world. And that, it just almost never happens. The only time you get a steep slopey ribbon on a river is if the riverbed is impervious rock and sloping down at an angle, and then the water would skim over it. And yeah, you know, that situation fine. But a normal river, your water is not a slopey ribbon ever. And you know, Pearl Abyss understands this in, well, I should say maybe that the simulation understands this. Of course, you know, they've set up a simulation, and that simulation is behaving really well. It's a very accurate simulation to my mind, you know, because look, at every little level here you can see that it's running over the riverbed, it's swirling around things, but it's also, if you look at it in a sort of microcosm, it's a series of little steps down. You know, obviously they're not regular steps like a flight of stairs, but you know, it's step, 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 step. You can see it there. Let's go into first person, then we can get it all. You know, and it's accurately going over obstacles under the water. You see that there. I mean, at this point, you know, let's bust out the reshade, because reshade is really helpful here. We can just see the geometry of the water, and it's just amazing, isn't it? I mean, you can see little VFX getting spawned there, where agitation is happening. But I mean, just check that out. It's flowing, isn't it? It's flowing like a river does. I'm really impressed with this. It's really, really good. You know, I mean, you can see the sort of density of the water. I mean, that's pretty high, isn't it? You know, it's it's really, really good. Oh, our character's getting in the way there. But just check this out here. Look at it. Look at it flowing down. Is that not the best river water you've ever seen? It's the best river water I've ever seen. Yeah, and so if I, let's just come out of that and have a look at the interaction of the character. You can see that the character's ripples are interacting with the existing flows. They're coarser, the resolution's not as high, but you know, it doesn't really have to be. It's what looks good. So let's just pop back into normal mode. It's interacting very convincingly with the rest of it. So let's just pick this up here. Let's have a good grab of this. See if I can't plop it down in the river so we can get some interaction on that. So, no, don't slam. Yeah, didn't want to slam it.
What was
So
that?
let's just place that down there. Yeah, action on that. So, no, don't slam. Yeah, didn't want to slam it.
Also, what the frick is this? I was not paying attention.
Up here, let's
Oh,
have a good grab of
okay.
this.
You
See if
picked
I
it up.
can't plop it down in the river so we can get some interaction on that. So, no, don't slam. Yeah, didn't want to slam it. So let's just place that down there. Out the way. Let's put on wireframe. And so you can see it's interacting with the log. And then this is one of the savings that they're doing. Once movement stops on any object in the water, then the sim disregards it. So you saw as it sort of initially sort of plopped in the river there's quite a lot going on, and then it just kind of as soon as the object stops, then the interaction stops as well. So let's pop it down again. There we go. So as it's moving, you see the ripples, the interactions, and when it comes to rest, interaction stops. And you know, that's a concession because you can't do everything. They're doing a lot with this water, and so you've got to make some savings.
Jeez, that actually did look really good. The interaction of the water with the character.
Do everything.
The ripples.
They're doing a lot with this water, and so you've got to make some savings.
Even the
somewhere.
splashes.
So I should say in this, I'm not really looking at the waterfalls. They're VFX. So let's just look at that. You know, you can see the sim ends at the top of the waterfall, starts again at the bottom. This is just VFX particles. So,
Yeah, I'm not happy with the
and,
VFX.
I mean, I think they're fine. You know, yeah, it's fine. I mean, there's a very good reason why no one's doing sim waterfalls, because they would be amazingly difficult and expensive. It would be a very difficult thing to do, and when you can achieve, you know, a pretty good result with VFX, then it's fine, isn't it? You know, it's I'm fine with that. I've seen better, but I think it's perfectly serviceable, and it's the main body of water that I'm interested in, and you know, that is really sort of using the fancy tech here. So check out the ripples there from
Yeah, the water underneath that bridge looks so pretty.
swimming. I mean, it's pretty agitated, perhaps slightly too much, maybe, but you know, I mean, it's all good, isn't it? Right, what do you get? So this is yet more examples of Pearl Abyss. You know, they've cleverly used this simulation, but the terrain work is really good. I think it's absolutely stunning terrain and landscape work here, and it's showing in the riverbed and the construction of the riverbanks and stuff. And like I said before, that stepping nature of the river, you know, they understand the construction of a river, and it's not all slopey downhill. It's a series of flatter sections with cascades and flatter sections and pools, especially like here with a waterfall. Over the millennia, these waterfalls widen out areas into pools, just like this one. And you see, it's pretty flat. this is a flatter section. And any river is like this, just at different scales. It's got a drop and a flat section, a drop and a flat section. And sometimes it's on the large macro scale like this, the big old pool, and for the rest of it, it's on a micro scale in the smaller construction of the river when you see it, as it tumbles over rocks and obstacles. So, this is showing that they're not just using good tech to simulate believable water. You've got to marry that with a believable, rational, and well observed riverbed and riverbanks. Again, it's here.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a lot of understanding how landscape actually naturally behaves in the real world, understanding how water flows from one area to the next, how rock interacts with water, how rock is normally shaped on the earth. Environment designers are really, really insane whenever it comes to open world games. They have a lot of knowledge, and whenever you have someone with that amount of knowledge, you get a lot of really good, really believable landscapes.
Look at this waterfall, rock pool. It widens out because of all that pummeling over the millennia. It carves it out, and it just has the air of authenticity when you see it like this. And all too often you see rivers and their banks, they're almost stuck on top of the terrain in a sort of additive sense, whereas here, it's very much sort of etching into the terrain like real rivers do, don't they? Real rivers cut into the terrain.
Quick side note, I don't know what else to do with this piece. The hair's got me screwed up. I don't know what else to do. Basically, so here's my dilemma. Let's pull up my reference. We've got this one. I wonder if you guys can see it on my monitor, because it is definitely not like the best view. Yeah, cannot be right. Alright. Do I want to overcomplicate this? Do I really want to overcomplicate this? That's a question that may need to be answered. Let's add a window capture to OBS. Let's make sure that it is this program, and let's hit OK. Is that now visible on stream? Yes, it is. All right. So this is the reference that I made for my character, right? The hair is not finished. It is only seemingly finished from the front. Back, there's literally nothing there. So the issue that I have is I'm drawing my character from about roughly this angle, right? Give or take. But I don't know if my original reference, my original sketch makes sense in 3 dimensions. I feel like perhaps the hair might be a little bit too tall. And then not only am I worrying about the actual dimension of the hair. I'm also worrying about how I can make it look good. And I don't know. So many questions. And I don't know the answers.
Every bit of water that falls on a landscape ends up going down and down to the lowest spots, and that's why you get rivers, because all that water accumulates and it drags every bit of particulates with it, and you get deposition dragging the landscape down with it over the millennia and millennia. I think they've done a really good job, really good job with this. So maybe at this point,
What's the difference between millennia and millennia?
down with it over the millennia and millennia. I think they've done a really good job, really good job with this.
Interesting.
So maybe at this point it's a good spot.
No, it's not a good spot. Why would you say that?
To sort of talk about simulations and stuff, because one of the reasons why you don't get simulations of water in games is that they're too computationally expensive, and films use them a lot, because films obviously offline rendered, aren't they? It's not interactive. Games have never been able to do that, and most of the water you see in films and a lot of games is usually done in Houdini, things like that. And Houdini has a simulation facility called FlipSims, which is a fluid implicit particle system. So that is what you call a smoothed particle hydrodynamic system. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? So that basically means that you fill a volume full of loads of particles, usually millions, and then let them do their thing, basically. And so if you've made a rational riverbed and riverbanks, i.e. a realistic looking one with a realistic incline, and then you run the simulation, the particles are given the right properties of water, the right viscosity, and then let gravity do its thing, and those particles will move and bounce around and interact with each other, and you'll get pressure zones, and the pressure will then impact on the speed of those particles relative to each other, and that's how you arrive at a fairly realistic water simulation. And so if you were to look at a flip sim in cross section, it would look something like this here. And so if you look at that line on top of it, that's what you would generally get out of it, is like your water surface mesh. So you would basically sort of render it all down, disregarding all the volume of water to arrive at a water surface mesh. And from all those particles moving, you can extract flow maps, fog maps, agitation maps, all those things that then things like shaders and VFX can hook into those things to then generate splashes and the flow that you see in the materials, things like that. And they're really effective. They look really good. And yeah, the only thing is that they're offline, as it were. They're not live as such, because then to get interaction with the water, you've got to then layer on physics in game on top of those systems. And so where Pearl Abyss have deviated, they've gone a different route, and they're using what you call a shallow water equation solver. So an SWE solver, which is basically, you take your sort of Houdini flip sim, it's that concept, but you collapse a dimension. So you collapse the vertical. So by collapsing the vertical dimension, you save an awful lot of processing power. And whereas in a flip sim you would need millions, in an SWE you can go down by an order of magnitude. So you might need hundreds of thousands as opposed to millions. And Pearl Abyss have said that they're using a maximum of 250,000 particles within a radius of the player. So even lacking that internal dimension of like under the water surface, you can still extract where the particles are getting squeezed between rocks, because at the end of the day, all you want is the water surface mesh. You don't need anything like underneath. You know, all you need is just the surface mesh, and then the rest is handled by shaders and stuff. So it's a really clever way of using a particle system that is, you know, relatively live. So if I go back to reshade, check out all the flows we've got here, right? If I press pause, reshade ignores the UI. So there we go. You see the default state of the water right there. And when I unpause it, you'll see the sim run and develop. So let's unpause now. So watch it, and then it gets into its groove.
That is
Flows we've
interesting.
got here, right? If I press pause, reshade ignores the UI. So
That's crazy.
there we go. You see the default state of the water right there. And when I unpause it, you'll see the sim run and develop. So let's unpause now. So watch it.
The
And then it
difference is
gets
really
into
crazy.
its groove. And then it maintains a sort of homeostasis here. And it's only when an interaction occurs, like the player, or if you drop something in the flow, that then what you're doing is then melding with what's happening there. Another thing, if you look now, let me go into first person here. Now, I don't know whether this is probably an optimization, but look at how we've got this frosted sort of look to it, haven't we? So as soon as you move the camera, it's back live again. It does stuff. So my feeling is that this is, they're just using a coarser version of the simulation when the camera's not moving. It seems like it's tied to camera movement.
Whoa.
And so as soon as I move the camera again, it all comes back again. Now, I mean,
That's strange.
I would rather they just do that a further distance away from the player, because as soon as you stop, it quite quickly does that, which is it's
It's
not
all
that great, is
smeary.
it? It could be a bug, or it could be just an optimization, a kind of LOD, if you will. But yeah, you know, we don't know, do we? So all that grounding done, we can look at it with a little bit more of an informed sort of view, I think, or I hope. And so let me get back to just admiring the river in some ways. I mean, I've been saying how much I admire the terrain work going on, and I think it's really, really good, right? But we've got a very interesting little section here, because this is one of the only bits that sticks out to me as being unnatural. And what I mean by that is, if you look here, look at the river, and then look at the terrain on the right. That terrain is sloping down from the river edge, and you never
Whoops.
see a river and get to the riverbank, and the riverbank flows downhill. You never get that unless there's some man-made interference going on, something like that, because there's no good reason for this river to turn here. I suppose this is one for the potential terrain artists out there, or maybe existing terrain artists as well, right? This is what I would look at it like. You know, you look at this river, and a river will not turn unless it's got a really good reason to turn. You know, impervious rock, obstacles, something like that, incline, you know. And here, there's no good reason for that river to turn down there. It would spill all over here. So this is probably what we're looking at here, is design overriding landscape art. And this happens all the time. You know, for whatever reason, mission design...
Yeah, this entire section, I could easily imagine the water would just rush down and like completely flood this farm area.
Say like, oh, we want this thing here. Can you move the river, curve it around? And the artist is often, or I was, it's like, no, the river wouldn't do that. The river doesn't want to turn that way. And so you've got to have a bit of a back and forth with mission design, and arrive at a conclusion really of what would be best. And usually that boils to like, you're the artist, you figure it out. So as an artist, you've got to come up with some sort of satisfactory reason why the river's turning, and they've not really provided that here. And the best example that I can show you here is that because they've got a sim going and the water is behaving how
You can actually see
real
it.
world water would behave to a large extent, right? The water's coming around here, and it's like, okay, yeah, we're turning around here, but let me put Reshape back on. The water is going, no, I want to carry on going over here.
Yeah.
Because can you see it here? The water is escaping the banks here, and it's flowing where it would naturally go. It's literally going through that bank, and that bit right in front of the player is like, you know, I want to go over here because I'm water and I'm going to go downhill. So, you know, that's literally an example of like, yeah, that riverbank edge, it really should have been sunk further down so that there's a believable edge to here.
I feel like the best sort of concession or what is the name of the word? I can't remember the freaking word. The best way to get the best of both worlds, right? Have this little house and farm on this area, and have the bank, have the river continue away from it. That would have been to just not have this little riverbank there. Probably cover this entire section either by large boulders, as you see over on the part downriver, or just have this man-made wall completely stop the river. Have the man-made wall come all the way through to the end.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, it's not a criticism. I'm not picking, I'm not nitpicking. I'm just showing examples of how rivers behave and the best ways to implement a river and integrate it with its river banks, especially if you're using a sim. Because if you're using a sim on your water, it's going to show up every flaw in your terrain work. Because the sim will just make mincemeat of it. It'll splash everywhere, it'll overflow the banks where you don't want it to, because you've not made the river bank in a believable way.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's perhaps a headache to some if you're going to be using sims, because that sim will not be kind to your poor terrain work if it's not adhering to certain basic principles of geology. So I thought that was quite an interesting little section there. But let's move on. Let's carry on up here. Again, you know, this stepping nature. This river is a masterclass, niggles aside, in how rivers should be made. It's getting all the things right that in my previous videos, I did a series of 4 videos on rivers in games actually, which you might like, but it's nailing every one of the criticisms of all those games. You know, they're getting it all right, bar a couple of little niggles, you know, but I'm not gonna, you know, pick at that, because as I said, mission design often trumps terrain design or all other considerations really. And so the river is getting much narrower here, so we're seeing a sort of more of a babbling mountain stream. The resolution is really good. It's beautiful. Look at those, the sort of ripples within the ripples, as it were. You know, you see the floor, they're really high resolution floor maps that it's generating, and you see the optimization coming in there, don't you? It's like, what are you doing? So move the camera and it pops back into existence. But it's just remarkable. You know, see, look, steps, all the way. Yeah, and that sim is informing agitation, of course. So wherever you're getting your fastest flow, your agitated water, you know, the shaders just hook into that, and then you'll bring in your foam map and stuff like that. Now, but check out here, you know, these lovely little bits here where it bunches up before boulders, splits either side, and then you have a little calm bit in the lee of the boulder. I mean, there's so much to look at. These are intensely interesting objects in the game. I mean, this is the first time I've been able to look at rivers like this and sort of just see so much that's right. It's amazing. I'm really pleased for Pearl Abyss. You know, Pearl Abyss, you've done a really outstanding job on these rivers. Well done. You should be proud of this. It's so good. And look at that there. As you get a steeper section where it's running over, you know, this bit here, the riverbed's getting shallower. and it sort of ripples over that shallower bit, hits the bottom where it's deeper, and you get a standing wave going up there. Let's pop reshade on to see it a bit better. You know, you see all of that, they're almost like sand dunes, aren't they? They ripple down, and then it bunches, standing wave, and then it splits over. I'm going to just get player view to get an overhead here, and you know, look at that. Every little scene on this river is just, it's like a masterclass in water flow, and you couldn't hand edit this. You know, you could spend weeks and weeks painting flows and stuff, and you know, it's a difficult job, and you'd never get it with this level of realism. You just can't compete with a good simulation. You know, as an artist could do a pretty good job, but no. I mean, just look at the edges here, this drag, because you know, you always get the strongest flow in the middle of the water, and the edges, the riverbanks, they create drag on the flow, and it's just so well illustrated there, isn't it? That drag on the right hand side here, it's just so amazingly good. But as an artist, if you're hand painting flows and stuff, inevitably you're going to get to the point where, you know, you've done all this work painting flow maps and stuff, and then someone goes and plonks a boulder in, or removes a boulder, or several, or many, and your whole flow map is broken then. It doesn't make any sense anymore because stuff's been moved. And that is guaranteed to happen. So the beauty of this sim, you know, is that, let's just pause it. You've got your default state. You don't have to do any hand editing at all, do you really? I mean, let's unpause it and watch it run. You see it develop there, doesn't it? It's live, and then it reaches that sweet spot and it stays there. And it doesn't need to go anywhere else, does it really? You know, and then, you know, of course, texture's back on, and man, look at that. Look at that. That is just so good, isn't it? Carry on going up here. I mean, I could talk about this river all day, but I'd better not, had I? I think you've only so much appetite to watch me infuse over these rivers. But, you know, each little section here is just absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this section here. This is a really interesting, lovely bit of environment here, isn't it? You know, you get it here, you've got a slower flow because the flow is getting channeled around these rocks here and funneled down here. That is such a natural looking bit. And here you can see the flow just peters out as it shallows off because the main flow, you know, it's taking it all down here. Check that out. See, again, let's just do the pause trick. I love doing this. So again, there you go. You've got your default. Your particles are at the default state. Let's unpause. And it develops into that wonderful simulation there. I wish we could see that.
And the rocks look so good. The sheen.
Simulation there. I wish we could see that without
that wet texture.
The map getting in the way, you know, because we don't get a chance. You sort of see the tail end of that default state, but you don't really get an appreciation where Reshade is really doing a good job here.
What does it actually look like in
without
okay.
the map getting in the way, you know, because we don't get a chance. You sort of see the tail end of that default state, but you don't really get an appreciation where Reshade is really doing a good job here. I think that I'm loving that. Yeah, that's very telling, isn't it, of the nature of this simulation. So, at the risk of going on and on, I better leave it there. Suffice to say, I think this is hands down the best water I've seen in any game. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Well done, Pearl Abyss. Okay, so thanks for watching. I've really enjoyed looking at this river, and I will just still have endless pleasure exploring this really amazing world.
The water looks best in this diffused lighting.
And just checking out all the different rivers. I will get to the ocean at some point. There's no mad rush, but I want to certainly check out the coastal waters. That's using a different system as I understand it. I think they're using an FFT hybrid thing. So that'll be interesting to see that. So thanks for watching. Take it easy. Goodbye.
And that was that. I should have subscribed. Gosh, dang it. Where's he at? Where's he at? So definitely subscribing to that guy. That was awesome. And what else we got? We can either check out an Asmin video. You know what? I think I might do that. Huh. What does he have? What does he have? Trying to find something entertaining and that's not too long. But as you can see, I've already watched a lot of his videos, so there really isn't that many options. And I guess we're watching this one. 15 minutes.
Disclaimer, this game involves issues surrounding race, discrimination, and hate speech. If you're offended by any of the content in this game, please quickly...
Dee, it's me, Lydia. I need you to wake up, Dee.
Lydia?
You're finally woke? Wait, what?
What is this place?
Bro.
Welcome to Skyrim, Dee.
What's this music?
Hey, this fool finally woke.
Hey.
My name's Ralph, and my pronouns are thee, the, ya dig.
Give me a minute. I gotta make sure I turn this up. This is funny. Give me a minute.
Welcome to Skyrim, Dee.
Hey, this fool finally woke.
Hey.
My name's Ralph, and my pronouns are thee, the, ya dig. You got caught speaking hate speech, right?
Oh,
Thank
no.
you.
Damn.
And that in wall over there.
Focus, Dee. Listen to them talk.
You,
They'll
Mr.
tell
Far
you
Right.
a lot of the
I was
story
not
of the
speaking
game.
hate speech. I was telling the guards my name, and they misheard me. You see,
Oh,
my
his
first
name was
is
Nick?
Second name Gurr. This was all a big misunderstanding. My friend here tried to explain the situation and got roped into this too.
Name's
Anytime.
Nick.
We all fall right now, homie.
Cool it with the microaggressions
Classic.
back there.
Focus,
Not
Dee.
trying to kink shame or anything, but what's up with Dave Sam? Why are they gagged?
Uh-oh.
Shut your ass up, fool. This homie right here is Ja Ulfric, the realest high king in Wall of
This
Skyrim.
is so
Please
stupid.
don't use that word. It belongs to the Dark Elves. It's
Oh, no.
not your word to use.
Bro.
I'm darker than you, ain't I? Plus it's our word that we reclaiming that slur.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you
Wokeness
silly
increased to
stormcloak.
22?
Why are you so racist against all the immigrants the Empire are bringing in to take all our jobs?
Hey, I'm black, so it's impossible for me to be racist. The Empire wants to mix all the races and dilute black people. That's what's racist.
Dilute black
And
people?
if NY belongs to the Dark Elves, then Skyrim belongs to the black people.
Damn.
You spoke, and I listened, and I hear you. Lots to think about there. Thank you for educating me.
Is this made
and
by
for having
Ubisoft?
such patience. This conversation has truly been a transformative experience.
Oh, wow.
Not just for me, but for all involved.
Wow.
Hey, what are your pronouns
listener.
anyway, homie?
These are,
Oh, God.
Happy Red Guard History Month, everyone.
Guard.
Really? Really, bro? What the fuck?
Only Argonians can breathe underwater from Floyd of Rift. Oh my god, bro, like, damn. Damn. The waiting game. Oh, it's watching loading screen? Is that right?
Hello, Elenwen. Thank you.
I've never played Skyrim.
All those dark elf refugees.
God,
really
the
helped
pride
us with
flag.
our diversity quotas.
Hey, that General Tullius is actually
God.
kind of cute.
Hell yeah, homie.
Oh,
He
God.
can invade my black marsh any day.
Oh, my God.
See that pride flag? See that pride flag? You can
Hold
honor
up.
it by
This
pressing
is
F.
Elgin.
You
I
can
used
press
to be in
F?
a polyamorous situationship with a gay transgender Argonian here.
Wait, a what?
I wonder if she's still selling crack to the kids on the street. Sounds bad, I know,
Oh my
but morals
God.
are grayer than a graybeard. Except when it's racism.
True.
See that pride flag? You can honor.
So this is hell.
See that pride flag?
Go inside
Dialogue.
D. Why
My
haven't
gender
you
neutral
honored the
offspring?
flag yet? Do it.
No, it's okay to show you drag shows, but not this.
Slow down, heartbeat.
It's time for another vax.
The music, man.
That headsman is kind of cute,
Uh-oh.
too. After
Uh-oh.
I
Here
explain
it
this
is.
whole misunderstanding and get off the hook, I'm gonna try flirt with him.
Uh-oh.
Show him who's the real headsman.
The
Am I
real
right?
headsman?
Good luck with that, homie. This ought to be good, except when we get beheaded and whatnot.
Beheaded?
Excuse me, I'd like to speak to
It's
the
a crazy
manager,
game.
please.
God.
What a good game.
Oh, we got a Karen over here.
Devote your
If
life
you
to
don't
Saint
get me the
Finn.
manager, you're gonna be in very big trouble.
When we call your name and pronouns. Thank you for your cooperation.
Oh, wow. Imperial Girl
What
Boss?
is it with the Empire and they yee ass list?
Ulfric Stormcloak, Jarl of Windhelm, he, him.
You are a real one, Ulfric.
Jesus Christ, they're gonna kill us all.
Stay calm, D. You got this.
Ralph of Riverhood,
This is so
Caesar.
stupid.
Yep, that's me.
No. I don't want to die.
I never got this far in Skyrim, by the way. I already,
What?
At this point, I've already quit. Because I
What?
remember the beginning of the wagon ride, but I don't remember where they went to. Like, that's as far as I got.
This dude.
Just breathe.
Nick of Rorikstead, Caesar.
Listen to me.
Nick?
This was a huge misunderstanding. I never said the N-word. So I'm gonna leave now.
No,
okay?
no, no,
Bye.
no, no,
Get out of there,
No,
D.
no,
Excuse
no,
me.
run.
I'm not a racist.
Kill him, kill him. Oh, so that just
Why don't
happened.
you come a little closer so I can get to know you better?
Hurry,
What?
D. Use the auto walk feature to walk to the soldier.
Oh my
So what's your name?
To unlock the other races, purchase the battle pass.
Skyrim Battle Pass 307 Argonian Pride Flag Inward Pass. Complete the main quest for $100. 50% off all items for red card characters. Khajiit BDSM skin. Buy the whole game again. Instant level 100.
Nice.
Oh my god.
See anything you like?
Oh wow.
Orcs have been removed from the game, D. No to racism.
Wait.
To unlock the other races, to unlock the other races, purchase the battle pass. To unlock the other races, purchase the battle pass.
Wait. Wow.
To unlock the other races, purchase
Look
the
at
battle.
these. Look at the names. A subversive race known for infiltrating foreign governments and manipulating populations through control of the media, blackmail, and assassinations. They also spread amorality, depravity, and degeneracy.
I wonder who that is. Damn, what the freak? That's screwed up, bro.
Cyrodiil is multiculturalism done right, an authoritarian police state with cheap labor imported from poverty-stricken provinces at the expense of the indigenous Cyrillians. All of this helps the perverted elites make marginal profits to fuel the empire's violent expansion and war machine. A twink-type race of homosexual elves with a tree fetish. Natives of Hammerfell, Redguards are an intelligent black-skinned people with a plethora of culture and intelligence. They are famous for their musical abilities and having lots of culture. They
True. And all cultures came from them.
mainly Yeah.
To unlock the other races,
These are basically elves, but Smurfs. Who doesn't love elves, right? Oh, another thing, they love mushrooms. Before you ask, not that kind of mushrooms.
purchase the battle pass. To unlock the other races,
An evil race of white-skinned people who benefit from Breton privilege and love nothing more than excelling in academia and intellectual pursuits, thereby outperforming other races in these fields and destroying equality of outcome. Disgusting.
True.
the battle pass. To learn more about the silly reptilian conspiracy theory, please visit Wikipedia.
What? What?
Next day, fly
Blackness?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Wait, there's a trans bar? The hair?
Honestly, the song's pretty good.
Wait, it's just all... Oh my god. This is a good game.
Bro.
Looking good, D.
Wow.
Okay,
Interesting
all
choice
right.
of name, gender,
Looks
and
like-
race.
Yeah.
Girl boss. What should we do? They, them, are not on the list.
Everybody's black. Why is everybody black?
did the hate speech, so we're gonna
Seems Nigel.
them.
Wait, what?
Please. I was thinking the exact same thing, girl
They're gonna
boss.
kill me?
You heard the birthing person.
The birthing person?
Sucks to be you.
Oh god.
No, what is that, bro?
Oh no.
Is this what Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be like?
God damn.
So this is how it ends for me.
D,
Bro, look at this framing, dude. This is... Honestly, I really think this might be a masterpiece. This really might be a masterpiece right here. Damn. It was Norse shit, I guess so.
D, it's kind of screwed up how you haven't honored the
Play
flag
it?
yet.
Ulfric, you racist bigot. You've oppressed the Empire for too long. You sub-Argonian inbred natives have been racist to immigrants for the last time.
Damn.
Thanks to the Empire's Made program,
Oh, God.
I now have the right to assist
the
you
euthanasia.
in your unaliving. And because you are a bigot, your unaliving is justified.
Uh-oh.
Damn.
See that pride flag?
What the hell was that?
See that pride
supposed
flag?
to be Dragon ASMR because it's a little too loud.
Tiagua is nothing. Unalive them all now.
I was thinking the exact same thing, General Tullius. Tell
Who's
them
this?
their horoscopes, girlfriend.
What?
Witness the power of one, the power of two, the
Stop, bro. The Acolyte? Really?
power of many.
For the love of science, let's get this over with.
Such violent speech. Chop his head off, executioner.
Damn, they're gonna kill his ass.
The experts are smiling down on me, Imperials. Can you say the same?
Uh-huh. The experts.
Hey, leave him alone.
Seriously, D, I need you to honor the flag now.
I can't breathe.
Please, no!
Don't drop
He can't fucking breathe. Bro.
the...
I'm so glad people are back to making videos like this again. Wait, this is like, what a crazy fucking... This is absolute fucking cinema.
We need this.
Wow. Holy fuck, bro.
We've been needing this, yeah.
The flag now.
I can't breathe.
Please, no!
Don't drop the...
Oh, trigger warning. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, the use of the word disable is not...
No!
Oh, wait, the guy disappeared.
Must not have heard me.
Censored.
D, this is your final warning. Honor the flag or there will be consequences.
Oh, no.
Next up, the
Nord.
with the
Blue.
hair.
The Nord with the
What the
blue.
hell was that? Again.
Honor the freaking flag,
There's
D!
that triggering sound again. Did you hear that?
Uh-oh.
All I hear is a member of the patriarchy interrupting his oppressed minority superior.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, girl boss. You and your people have already been through so much. The last thing I would ever want to do is oppress you or anyone else.
This is so...
You there.
I've never played Skyrim.
Hey, D, it's your homeboy Ralph. Where's the white knight when you need him, eh? Nah, don't worry, we're gonna figure this one out. This time I'm gonna speak up real loud so the Axeman hears me. You hear me? Let's just say I'm gonna ask him a question or two. Okay, here goes. 1, 2, don't drop them!
What in astrology is that?
What the?
He's right behind me, isn't he?
It's Adolf Wynn, the straight white dragon!
Really?
He's trying to kill us all because of the color of our skin!
True.
Who the hell
Adolf
Wynn? He killed 6 million high
It's Adolf the Dragon.
I read about it in Schindler's Scroll.
I don't need no white knight!
Schindler's Scroll.
Bro!
Bro, shut the fuck up.
Hates me.
Get to a safe space. Come,
Wait, what the fuck was that? Come on, what is this ad, bro? What the fuck is this?
Guys, this is maybe one of the best YouTube videos I've seen in a long time.
Ooh,
you
who am
have
I?
to give this video a like. You have to give this guy a sub. This is dude. Bro, as they're walking him up, I can't breathe. I read about it on Schindler's Scroll. Like, this is there are levels of this. Wow. Dr. Phoenix. Dr. Fixotic. I think that's the better way to say it. Holy fuck, that is good. And you know what's really sad? Is that this video is probably going to have a lot in common with the next Elder Scrolls.
Oof.
Disclaimer, this game involves issues. I don't know what to say. That's just the way it is. And, yeah, that's it, guys. Holy fuck, that was good. Dude, this is actually amazing. Like, what a good fucking video. Holy shit, what a good fucking video. Oh my god. Make sure to give it a like. Give the guy a sub, bro. Like, this is so good. And, the alternate Skyrim universe, the dragon is the hero. Okay, that's the dragon named Adolf. Thanks, BlackRock. New shout unlock. Offended. Okay, guys. Only Argonians can breathe underwater. Jesus Christ. We was Jarls and shit. Make that 601 on Schindler's Scroll. 6,000,001. Oh my god, how do I find a video? I'll link it again. I think this really deserves it. This is so funny, bro. Like, this is fucking hilarious. Oh my god. Basically a condensed historical document of our time. I heard he killed 6 million high elves. God. I don't tell what they told you in the College of Winterhold. Tiber Septim was a red card. It's really, honestly, these comments give me so much hope. They do. They give me so much hope, and they make me feel like, you know what? Actually, things are gonna be okay. Things are gonna be all right.
Oh, what the hell is this temple video? The frick? Alright, so, this is Dr. Foxotic. And, I don't even know what the hell is going on. I'm gonna have to come back and figure out what's going on here. Maybe I'll watch these in my spare time. Bro, Jeffrey intro theme song. You know what? Let's see what this is about.
War with Iran, just one more in the Middle East. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and
What the hell?
see. Tell me
What is this? What the hell is that?
This 5-in-1 men's grooming kit has everything you need to shave or trim your entire body. These five.
Is this the song that was in the video?
Mumbling in the snow, yeah. Norway, goatee, cold soul. Dragonborn, drip in the throne.
I think it is.
Skyrim nights, stack septims in the sack. Shout on them, watch, send them straight. Don't come back. Songer trips, storm cloak flags on my back. Great bitch home, what I count that stat. Regular homies in the cut, they ride. Scimitars flash, got D by my side. White rum plug, put the coin in my hand. Organian plug, got the moon sugar grand. Can't hear what you say. Nah, voice so low, but I still get paid. Yeah. On hush, but the sky turn gray. Boom. Septims rain down every day. Dragonborn mumble when I slide on the scene. Gold on my waist in the soul gems gleam. Noise talk tough, then they meet that beam. Yo talk, she'll send them off to their dreams. Southern got a gate where the brave boys go, but I send upstairs when I let shouts blow. Under voice flow, but the legend still ring. Low tone, king, they just call me Dover King. Low tone, king, they just call me Dover King. Yeah, yeah. Hop to the boat, take a trip.
So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that much done. Biggest issue is I don't know what the hell to do with this hair, but I think I'll have to figure this out in my own time and come up with a solution so that next time I can actually work on something else or continue making some progress.
House of the lights with my Argonian night.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. No. That's actually pretty good. But that will conclude today's stream because I am out of time. I gotta go do some stuff. Gotta go run errands. Gotta, live my life. So we'll leave it here. If you're out there and you're listening, thanks for tuning in. But for today, that will be all. Goodbye.